welcome to another edition of Field Day Fun. I am your host, Drew Burris. Come along with me as I bring some of my phys ed friends so they can help you with your field day. Today, we have a very special guest. This will be our last episode of the season, which has been a great ride. And for today, we have the PE specialist, Mr. Ben Landers. Ben, how are you this evening?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. I really appreciate it. I know, along with myself, a lot of people follow the stuff that you put out on social media. So it is a very blessed honor for you to be here tonight.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. So today we're going to basically do what we've done on every episode is 5 fun facts. I'm going to ask you 5 questions and we'll see if you can answer them. Okay?
Sounds great.
All right, so let's start with number 5. So give us, if people do not already know about you, a little bit of an intro. So who you are, what you teach, and where you teach.
All right, my name is Ben Landers. I teach 4K through 5th grade physical education. This is my 15th year teaching, and I've been at the same school the whole time. So just been building that program over there for the last 15 years. And I think that was it. Was that all the
That's pretty good.
answers?
Yep, pretty spot on. Yep, pretty spot on. So let's go to our number 4 question. With last season, we asked everybody, what platform they're on because we were kind of in the virtual world. We're in person, or some people had hybrid. How has this year been for you being back to kind of normal with your students?
Man, it's just slowly getting better and better. Slowly getting back to that normal feeling. We kicked off the year still a lot of virtual days. We still had a lot of quarantines. I think this year was mask free, but we had to wear masks till right up to the end of the last school year. And then they made it optional coming back this year.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this has been the hardest 2 years, I think, for any teacher in education. So getting back to normal has been amazing, just to be able to focus on curriculum, instruction, and kids, and trying to get kids, back into the routine of normal life. So I've really enjoyed the slow move. We just, in the last month, they opened up the schools for parents to come back in. So nice. In the last month, it's just been really cool. We've had a couple events and it's felt like a normal school time where you have parents in the school and they're eating lunch with their kids, and we have volunteers coming in. It's like, oh, this is what it used to feel like 3 years ago, so it's been really good.
Within social media this year, there's been a lot of comments of people saying they're kind of in a little bit of a burnout mode. They're not knowing what to do. I know you've been doing this for quite some time, and you always put out a lot of tips and tricks for teachers through social media. What would you maybe give to them as an advice for ones that kind of feel like they're done, they can't really do this anymore after coming back with all the students and just kind of the atmosphere of what's changed?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I can totally relate. I've felt those same feelings the last couple of years. But I think, and I've talked to a lot of my friends about it too, it's like, you don't want to make a career decision based on a time in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
And so I would say just hold on to the hope that things are going to get better and slowly move back. But at the same time, it's such an individual decision for somebody. Some of the stories I've heard of people that are in really toxic situations, for that specific person, I'd be like, hey, you might need to get out and go find something else. There's better situations out there. But if it's just the general, man, teaching during COVID was rough and I'm totally burnt out and I'm second guessing my career choice. And it's not a specific toxic situation. I would just say, hold on to the hope that things are going to go back to normal. Kids need you. And if you're passionate about your job and it was great before COVID, then there's a good chance we can get back to that same place.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said, we're all in this together. You're not by yourself. There's people that are feeling the same way. But just talking to other phys ed teachers, I think through social media helps. That's usually been a response from everyone, it seems.
Yeah, 100%. Connecting with people is huge, and realizing you're not alone. and then sharing, ideas and the things that have helped you be successful with whatever kind of struggles you're going through.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good info on that one, man. Okay. So let's go to number 3. So what was last year's field day like for you? Can you describe that to me a little bit?
Yep. Last year we were kind of on the bubble of even having field day. My principal, it was kind of dependent on where we were on the range of quarantines.
Right.
So I had a plan that was like kind of loosely held, knowing that it might not happen. So the way we did it was we had everything. The parents were not allowed to be in the school during that time, and we also had to spray all the equipment down in between
Okay.
each class. So we had to kind of be selective about the games we did, and we kind of did a shortened field day. Like normally we do a 2-hour field day, and the kids will go around to like 15 to 18 different stations all
Gotcha.
throughout, inside the school, outside the school. And then last year we cut it down to 10 and just did outside. Actually, I think they came to the gym, but I had to have staff manning those stations because parents weren't allowed to come into the
I
gym.
know that feeling.
Yeah, so it was just trying to figure that out, and then trying to find the games that are easy to spray down in between, the each group coming in.
Right.
You don't want to spray down a ton of equipment.
Gotcha.
But it was better than nothing.
True.
Especially
Yes.
last year, we were just trying to have some semblance of a party, some semblance of fun.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what we did last year, kind of a shortened field day.
Gotcha. Well, okay, so let's go to number 2. So we're kind of back into the little bit of the rhythm now with a little bit of normalness going on. So can you tell me, what do you have planned for this year's field day for your kiddos?
Yeah, we actually already had it.
Oh,
We
okay.
do
So
ours
what
right
did you
before
do
spring
for
break.
your field day?
Yeah, because the reason is people are always like, "Hey, why do you do it?" Like we always do it at the end of the year, but
Uh-huh.
it gets so hot where I live. We're in South Carolina, so if we wait till June, it's literally 100 degrees outside, and it's just not that much fun. And
Gotcha.
so one of the first changes I made was to move it to before spring break, just because the weather's so nice. Um, so that's why we do it at that time. But also, it's really nice for me because I'm not fighting with graduation, with standardized testing, with all the musicals and all the end of the year
Right.
type stuff. Because it was always really hard to get the kids like trained up because I was missing so many classes.
Gotcha.
So I like it also before spring break for that reason too. But we kind of did a hybrid because some of the feedback we got, I sent a survey out to all my teachers just saying, hey, this is what we did last year. This is what we've done in years previous. What's your preference on the schedule? And I gave
Gotcha.
them 3 options because I had some of the kindergarten and first grade teachers that were like, hey, can we do a shorter field day? That was kind of nice for us because our kids are so worn out, going for a long time.
Right.
And so the staff voted on what they wanted, and the majority voted on a hybrid. And so what we did was we had like a little bit of a shorter field day. It was an hour and a half, and that allowed me to have everything before lunch. And then after lunch, we did like a schedule where the teachers would still get a 15-minute planning break.
Okay.
So we just did like real short classes, and they would just drop their classes off with us for just a 15-minute
Gotcha.
break. And we played like tag, and then I had a little slideshow for the other related arts teachers if they wanted it, where they could just watch some YouTube videos or do some fun go noodle activities and things like that. But the way we set our field day up is we have the station set up, and then I train the kids up on the games, and each station lasts 6 minutes. So
Gotcha.
every 6 minutes, we just do the air horn or the whistle inside, and the kids rotate to the next one. And I kind of leave it up to the teachers if they want to make it competitive or not. So most of the younger kids are just playing for fun.
Right.
And then the older teachers, I'll have like a little chart that lets them keep track of the
Keep
score for their
track.
teams
Yeah.
if they feel like it's something that their class would enjoy doing. So yeah, we did kind of a hybrid this year, which I thought was pretty cool. We just took
Gotcha.
some feedback from our faculty, and so that was kind of one of the positive things, I guess, about COVID was I would have never thought that teachers would want a shortened one.
Mm-hmm.
But when we did it, especially kindergarten, they were like, "Man, this was kind of nice. You think we could do this again?" I was like, "Yeah, maybe so."
Yeah,
So
that's good. I'm glad it worked out for you, though. That's really
yeah,
good. Okay, so let's go to maybe our toughest question. This is our last one for number one. Can you tell me what has been a favorite field day activity for you? So this could be something you made or something that you've even participated in before.
Yeah. So I'll do one that people can go check out. The activity is called the cone flip relay.
Okay.
And we did this when like the bottle flipping was real popular,
Right.
probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And you basically have 4 lines of cones, and the first person in line has to run and try to flip the cone and land it upright. But people can Google that and find a example, like a video example on my YouTube channel.
Yep.
But one that I don't think I've shared online is Cat in the Hat. It's a really fun one that we got, and actually the kids came up with this one. And so in the story of Cat in the Hat, you might remember like the cat's trying to balance all these items, and then at the end of the story, he just like drops them everywhere.
Right.
And so for the game, we get 4 buckets, and I just put like every single color coded, like red, blue, green, and yellow item that I have from the gym, like one of each in the bucket. So your bucket for like a blue team is going to have like a blue frog, a blue fish, a lummy stick, a paddle, like just a bunch of random stuff. And so the way the game works is the first person grabs one item, they run down to the cone and run around the cone and come back. And then they have to give their item to the next person. The next person picks up another item. So every time you're adding one extra item. So it's just really funny to watch and fun to play, because the kids are like trying to carry all this random stuff in their hands. And then if they ever drop anything, it has to go back. Everything goes back in the bucket and they start over. And usually nobody's able to carry all the items because I put so much stuff in there. I might have like a couple 5th grade classes that actually can do it. So then at the end, whoever has the most items in their hand is the winner. But it's just a fun, silly game.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
that sounds really fun. So what I usually do for my guests is I usually kind of dig into their Twitter a little bit and kind of see some things that they've done for field day. So I'm going to pull this one up for you, and I'm sure you recognize this, but let's take a look and see if you can explain this a little bit. So if we take a look at that, what we got some cornhole relay. Is that correct?
That's it.
All right. So did you have that one from this year's past field day?
We did. That was one of our games for this year.
How'd that go? It looked exciting and fun for the students.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We always do cornhole activities in class as like either a station activity or a tournament for my older kids. And so the way we did that one was they had 8 bean bags in a hoop, and the first person would go and throw 1 bean bag, and to be able to score, it has to go drop into the cornhole, like the hole. So if you land it on the board, even though that would normally be a score in a game, they have to go get it and bring it back. So they're only going for ringers. And then for the younger kids, you can move it closer, and for the older kids, you move it farther away. So it's an easy game to modify.
Yeah,
but the first team to get all 8 was the winner. So it's very, you're like looking at each team's loot, seeing how many bean bags are left. It was fun.
I was to say, it looked like they had a blast in there. Well, Ben, I really appreciate you being on here tonight. I've been teaching for about 11 years, and I know I followed just about everything you put out on social media. For the people who do not know of you a little bit, can you maybe give them a little contact info so how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure thing. You can head over to my website at thepespecialist.com, and that's got links to like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And you can see an overview of my field day at thepespecialist.com/field day. So thanks for having me on, man. And if you guys have any questions, hit me up.
And he always has a nice little document that comes out too for tips and tricks if you're needing help with that as well. So highly recommend taking a read at what he sends out. So yes, thank you, Ben. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man.
This is our final episode for the 2nd season. The PE specialist being our guest tonight. Really appreciate that. And just remember, folks, we've done this for a couple episodes this season now. It's a lot more than what we had last year. But just remember, no matter what you do for your field day, just make sure that you have fun.